When I first discovered Shapez, I thought it was a puzzle game, and it kind of is. But first impressions are often somewhat flawed, and upon further inspection, I discovered that beneath its seemingly simplistic appearance, it's a fully fledged factory builder. And there's no question that its sequel builds upon the premise to make it not only a superior entry point into the Shapez franchise, but this game is sure to make its mark on the genre of automation games itself, and perhaps will become my new favorite factory builder. First of all, thanks very much to the devs for letting me check out this game. It's clear that they put a lot of care into crafting it. In their post, What to Expect from Early Access, they shared some survey results asking players what parts of the first Shapez game were the most iconic, and what new features would be the most exciting. To me, those are perfect questions to be asking. They made good upon those survey findings. Shapez 2 retains the best parts of its predecessor. A straightforward, minimalist, abstract theme, infinite resources, and space to build huge factories, with no building costs or enemies to slow you down. The research tree and milestone progression system in the sequel has you earning points and spending them to choose your own adventure through the game's many mechanics, along with the option to tune the game to your desired level of difficulty. You'll possess an increased ability to construct complex factories with the multi-layer system's added verticality, eye-popping trains to transport materials around the map, and an easy-to-use blueprint system. Copy, paste, and save with intuitive hotkeys. Quick and simple undo and redo actions, eliminating all barriers to feed the beast and expand the factory. The cherries on top, it's wrapped in a beautiful interface. 3D visuals give this game an iconic character, and a killer soundtrack, which can be further expanded with the Supporter DLC. The tutorial section of the game will have you earning your operator license, before the map really opens up. You're eased into it so you can learn the ropes, but soon the training wheels are off, and you're free to build. Choose your difficulty level. I started on easy to get the hang of things, but hard mode will have you constructing even more complex shapes, which will require a more advanced handle of the game's mechanics, sure to keep the skilled builder busy for many hours. The milestone progression system will walk you through a series of shapes that you'll need to construct and deliver to the VORTEX. The main objectives will unlock the game's mechanics, and the secondary ones will award you research points, which you're free to spend on a selection of upgrades and other buildables and mechanics to allow for more efficient scaling of complexity. First, you're just rotating and cutting. Then eventually you're stacking, painting, and shipping your shapes across multiple levels and different parts of the map. The VORTEX is more than just eye candy. It's the heart of your base. Keep it organized as you scale up. It's right in the middle of everything, so no conveyor belt spaghetti, please. Okay, maybe a little bit of spaghetti. Maybe a lot of spaghetti. I found in my time with the game that I always had more belts that I wanted to send to the VORTEX than I did clear and open paths to get them there. Over time with factory games, you can develop a good set of systems and practices for dealing with these types of problems, but I'll admit that mine are haphazard at best. But I think that's part of why these games are fun. A little bit of somewhat organized chaos can be very entertaining. Don't forget to unlock the relevant research upgrades for more VORTEX inputs, and expanding your main base platform, and taking advantage of stacking belts on multiple levels to overcome this. The blueprint system in Shapez 2 works incredibly well. You can simply drag and select a section of your factory, whether it be buildables on top of platforms or multiple platforms themselves, and cut, copy, or paste, or if desired, you can hit Ctrl S to save that selection as a blueprint. It will ask you what you want to name it and what folder you want to sort it into, and all of your blueprints are stored as files on your computer, with the folder structure matching what you see in-game, so you can easily stay organized and share your blueprints with friends. While we're on the subject of copying and pasting, let's talk about the controls. You've got undo and redo, and the Q and E keys raise or lower what level you're looking at, and this is how you build conveyor belt lifts. C adds an anchor to a conveyor belt as you're building it, which will allow you to customize your route and override the game's automatic pathing. Hitting spacebar will switch your build mode from the normal factory mode, where you're placing down individual pieces, to platform mode, where you're building at a larger scale. Right-clicking will take you out of build mode so you can click and drag to make selections. It's also used to delete objects and structures. It sounds like a lot, and yes, the controls take a little bit of time to get used to, but they're introduced at a good pace, and they're intuitive. Once they become second nature, they can prove to be quite powerful in speeding up the rate at which you can construct large factories. There are some functions I haven't figured out yet, like how to flip a whole conveyor belt backwards as I'm building it. I feel like that was a feature in the first one, but it's escaping me now. Let me know in the comments if you have any idea on this. Sometimes you don't notice just how big this game is. Pretty far into the tutorial, I was so wrapped up in my little project on one side of the vortex and needed some more squares when I realized the vastness of the starting area. On the other side of the vortex were even more squares that I could extract. As you unlock more tech, shapes requested by the vortex become more complex, and likewise, the complexity of your factory must scale up as well. As you upgrade the speed of your conveyor belts, you'll need to add more buildables like cutters and rotators and painters and stackers to keep up with the input. That is, if you want to maximize your efficiency. But the game lets you play it however you'd like, and you can take a very relaxed and less calculated approach to your building style if you don't mind waiting a bit longer for progression. But if you want to min-max it, the data is available to you. Throughput rates are provided in the UI when scrolling over a buildable, making assembly line optimization an achievable goal. We mentioned blueprints. You'll really want to take advantage of these. There's no need to keep rebuilding the same factories over and over again. One blueprint I leaned upon heavily early on was a shape miner, fully loaded with extractors, extensions, and belts. So if I needed a new shape, I didn't have to spend time reconstructing the same pieces I had countless times before. I could get on with the more exciting challenge of manipulating pieces. Figuring out the most optimal setups for manipulating shapes in different ways and fitting them onto the smallest platform you can, then saving the blueprint for future use, is just one more way this game delivers on that easy to pick up, hard to master vibe that most of my favorite games fall into. First, you're building at a small scale, copying and pasting a line of cutters or stackers. Before long, you're plopping down saved blueprints of shape manipulation puzzles you've solved in the past that apply to your current goals. Or if you're like me, you're scrolling around the map trying to find that thing you were working on a while ago that might apply to your current project. You can always tag the locations of different shapes using those handy-dandy shape codes. I definitely need to take better advantage of this feature. Admittedly, I'm just about to unlock trains on my playthrough, so I can't speak too much on them, but I'm excited to see how Shapez 2 handles them. They're an indispensable part of the factory genre. I think of trains as fast, high-capacity conveyor belts. As you spread out your operations, whether it be a huge mega factory or smaller, sprawling, modular factories, trains become an important part of moving materials around and overcoming the scaling problems you're likely to face. Shapez 2 features some beautiful spinning and diving animations for the trains, and the supporter pack adds extra effects and loops to the game so you can take your train fashion to a new level. The lack of building cost in Shapez 2 is one of its greatest strengths, and makes this a great entry point to the genre, eliminating a bit of that early game grind if you're used to something like Satisfactory, which I do admittedly enjoy. There's a lot of stuff about Satisfactory that I love, like how it's set in nature and the first-person perspective, but that's not what this game is. It has a different vision, a very singular one, as I've come to experience in my time with it. It wants to enable the player to build and experiment to solve logistical puzzles at scale, while also tapping into that dopamine with a strong sense of progression. Most of what's present in the game is in service to this. The blueprint system and its controls in particular are a total game changer and contribute heavily to the goals of this game's design. The highest praise I can give Shapez 2 is its singular vision upon which it executes, and resultingly, it's exactly what you want in a video game. It's so good I can't put it down. When you finally get over the logistical hurdles and get that one shape that you've been trying to crack for a while, then you spend the awarded research points on a new unlock that enables you to go back and increase the efficiency of what you just built. It is an incredibly satisfying game loop, and when it hits, it's brilliant. This is what makes this game my new favorite factory builder. It drips with authenticity that can only exist from devs who care deeply to build a sequel that over-delivers on the premise of its predecessor. Shapez 2's grand vision is planted firmly into its game design, and is more than an excellent foundation upon which to start its early access period. Shapez 2 is out now in early access on Steam. It launched globally on Thursday, August 16th. The base game is $24.99, but if you buy it before August 29th, you could get 20% off with the introductory offer. In my book, this is quite a steal for potentially hundreds or thousands of hours of fun. I'm Andy Glover, thanks for watching, and you can watch more of my videos about video games right here on YouTube.